To say one thing, fuck Trump. It's no longer down with Trump, it's fuck Trump.
Sometimes when someone has seen it all, lived through decades of fame, and earned the world's respect, they stop pretending. They stop holding back. That's what just happened with Robert De Niro, the Hollywood legend we all know. He's not just an actor, he's a powerful, fearless voice. And this time, that voice took direct aim at two names making waves in American politics, Karoline Leavitt and Donald Trump. Now, we all know De Niro has spoken out before, especially about Trump. But this moment, this wasn't just another celebrity comment. This was raw, this was honest, and this was bold. So what made De Niro speak out again, and what did he say that has people across the country talking? Why is Karoline Leavitt, Trump's rising star spokesperson, caught in the middle of this firestorm? Let's be clear, this wasn't a red carpet moment or a late-night TV joke. This was serious. It felt like De Niro wasn't just speaking for himself. It felt like he was speaking for all the people who feel unheard, confused, or just plain tired of all the noise in politics. In today's video, we're diving deep into this bombshell moment. We'll uncover what really happened, what Robert De Niro said, why Karoline Leavitt got dragged into it, and what this could mean for Trump moving forward. So grab your seat, stay close, because we're telling this story the way it should be told, clear, real, and unforgettable. Let's begin. The voice of a legend, why Robert De Niro matters. When we think of Hollywood legends, there are few names that carry the weight of Robert De Niro. He's not just another actor with an opinion, he's a living legend, an icon who has shaped cinema for over 5 decades. From his unforgettable role in The Godfather, Part 2, to his complex and intense portrayal in Taxi Driver, to his more recent work in The Irishman, De Niro has built a career based on choosing characters that challenge societal norms and push the boundaries of storytelling. It's easy to forget that, behind the famous roles and the accolades, De Niro is also a man of deep conviction, and those convictions often spill out into the public eye. For over 50 years, De Niro has been more than just a name on the big screen. He's been a cultural touchstone, a symbol of what it means to speak your truth without fear. And that's why when De Niro speaks, people listen because his words hold weight, not just because he's famous, but because they come from someone who has never been afraid to stand up for what he believes in. His acting career, filled with gritty portrayals of men grappling with their own moral codes, parallels his real-life willingness to confront difficult issues head-on. In recent years, De Niro's role in public discourse has shifted from actor to outspoken critic. One of the most prominent targets of his criticism has been Donald Trump. De Niro has made no secret of his disdain for the former president, calling him out publicly for his actions, his words, and his policies. For years, De Niro has been one of Hollywood's loudest voices against Trump, calling him everything from dangerous to a liar. He's never hesitated to speak his mind, even when it was unpopular, even when it meant standing against powerful figures in the entertainment industry or political world. While some people might have rolled their eyes or dismissed his views as just another celebrity rant, there's an undeniable truth to De Niro's words. Sometimes truth comes from the most unexpected places, and when a man like De Niro speaks, it's hard not to listen. But De Niro's criticism isn't limited to Trump alone. Recently, he took aim at someone new, someone who has been rising through the political ranks as a prominent figure in Trump's orbit, Karoline Leavitt. Leavitt, a young and ambitious spokesperson for Trump, has made waves with her outspoken defense of the former president and his policies. As a rising star in the political landscape, Leavitt represents a new generation of Trump loyalists who are vocal, confident, and unapologetic in their support. But why did De Niro feel compelled to speak about her? What is it about Leavitt that caught his attention and made him decide to speak out? Before we dive into what De Niro actually said about Leavitt and why it's such a big deal, we need to understand who Karoline Leavitt is and why her name is suddenly everywhere. Leavitt, though relatively young, has quickly established herself as a key figure in the pro-Trump movement. She has worked in communications for conservative causes and has become a strong voice in defending Trump's controversial views. While many admire her for her tenacity and dedication to the cause, Others view her as another pawn in a political game that plays fast and loose with the truth. De Niro, known for his fierce sense of right and wrong, saw something in Leavitt that didn't sit right with him. But what exactly did he find problematic, and why was he so vocal about it? That's the part of the story that caught everyone's attention. De Niro, after all, has a history of speaking out against Trump's supporters. But this time, he wasn't just targeting Trump. This time, he was making a statement about the new faces of the political machine. Faces like Karoline Leavitt, who are now leading the charge for a new generation of conservative voices. De Niro's words about Leavitt weren't just a casual remark. They were a pointed critique of the way politics in America has evolved, with young, well-spoken individuals carrying the torch for a movement that many see as dangerous. His criticism wasn't just about Leavitt's political views. It was about what she represented in the broader context of American politics. And that's why, when De Niro speaks, it's not just an opinion, it's a challenge to the status quo, a challenge to the future of American politics. The bombshell words, what Robert De Niro said. So what exactly did Robert De Niro say that set the internet on fire and got everyone talking? Well, during a recent public event, the topic turned to the current political climate, and that's when things took an interesting turn. At first, De Niro kept his tone measured, calmly discussing the state of politics in America. But when the name of Donald Trump came up, you could almost feel the shift in the air. His words took on a sharper edge. And you could tell he wasn't just speaking as an actor or a public figure, he was speaking from a place of conviction. The words that followed about Trump were nothing new. De Niro has long been outspoken against the former president, calling him everything from dangerous to dishonest. But then things got even more intense when Karoline Leavitt was brought into the conversation. The moment her name was mentioned, De Niro didn't hold back at all. He called her another puppet, someone who's simply playing along with a system designed to deceive the people. His criticism didn't stop there. De Niro continued saying, it's not just Trump anymore, now he's got young voices carrying his lies louder than ever. Those words cut deep. They weren't just a typical political jab, they were a direct attack on the new wave of young political figures who were carrying Trump's message, amplifying his voice to a new generation. And in De Niro's eyes, that made them just as dangerous, if not more so. He elaborated further, saying, they sound smart, they dress sharp, and they smile on camera. But behind all that, it's the same dangerous game. It's important to note how powerful these words are. De Niro has built a reputation over the years for being blunt and unapologetic, but he has usually reserved his sharpest critiques for Trump himself. For the most part, he stayed away from directly calling out other figures, especially those rising stars in the political world. But with his comments about Leavitt, De Niro sent a clear message. It's not just the established political figures who are dangerous. The new generation, with their youthful energy, polished appearances, and seemingly fresh perspectives, can be just as harmful. And the way De Niro framed it? That's what made the comments so explosive. He wasn't just criticizing a politician or a figure. He was calling out the very method of deception that can easily fool the public. The idea that these younger voices, while appearing nice or approachable on the surface, are part of a much larger, darker game is something that really struck a chord with his audience. The reaction to De Niro's comments was immediate and powerful. People quickly took to social media to voice their opinions, either in support of him or in full-blown opposition. Some cheered him on, applauding his honesty and willingness to speak out against what they saw as a growing threat in the political landscape. They felt De Niro had, once again, used his platform to speak truth to power in this case, calling out the manipulation that's happening right under people's noses. On the other hand, there were those who accused De Niro of going too far. Critics argued that attacking a young political figure like Karoline Leavitt, who is still early in her career, was unfair and uncalled for. Some even suggested that his remarks might have been too harsh, and they questioned whether De Niro, with all his Hollywood fame, had the right to lecture others on politics. Regardless of where people stood on the issue, one thing was clear. De Niro had shaken the room. He had made his point in a way that few others would have dared, and the intensity of his words only amplified the already high stakes in today's political discourse. The debate that followed his comments wasn't just about Trump or Leavitt, it was about the way politics is being shaped by new players. the power of media manipulation, and the way we, as a society, are being played by those in power. In that moment, Robert De Niro did more than just share an opinion. He made a statement that resonated with many, raised eyebrows, and sparked a conversation that continues to ripple through both the political and entertainment worlds. Whether you agree with him or not, De Niro's bombshell words made one thing crystal clear. He's still a voice that demands to be heard, and his words carry weight in a world that's constantly shifting. The internet explodes, supporters versus critics. As soon as Robert De Niro's comments about Karoline Leavitt hit social media, the reaction was swift and intense, and it didn't take long before the entire internet seemed to split in two. On one side, there was a surge of praise. De Niro's supporters flooded platforms with words of support, calling him brave, honest, and powerful. They felt that finally someone was standing up and calling out the new generation of political spin. In a time when the political climate is more charged than ever, especially with elections looming on the horizon, many believe De Niro's words were not just timely, but absolutely necessary. Some online voices hailed him as a truth teller, a figure willing to speak out when so many others in Hollywood stay silent. His supporters saw his comments as a much-needed jab at a political system that, according to them, thrives on deceit and manipulation. As one Twitter user put it, De Niro isn't afraid to say what we're all thinking. The new generation of politicians needs to be held accountable. There was a sense of relief among many of De Niro's fans that someone with his platform had chosen to speak out in such a public, unapologetic way. For De Niro's fans, it wasn't just about the message, it was also about the messenger. Robert De Niro, a Hollywood icon with decades of experience and credibility, was taking a stand. His comments carried weight, and in the world of politics, that weight was being felt. It wasn't just about taking on Trump anymore. It was about confronting the younger faces in politics who were playing the same game, but with a fresh and more palatable mask. But on the other hand, there was a very different reaction. De Niro's critics, particularly Trump supporters, were not so kind. They saw his comments as an unfair attack on a young woman who had worked her way up in the political world. Karoline Leavitt, they argued, was simply doing her job. And to them, De Niro's words felt like an attack on her success and intelligence. Some even went as far as to accuse him of bullying her, pointing out that he had used his decades of fame to launch a personal assault on a younger, ambitious figure. Critics argued that De Niro was out of line, especially considering his position as a Hollywood celebrity. Why is an actor with no political background taking shots at someone trying to make a difference? One critic wrote. Another pointed out the irony of someone who made a career out of playing villains on screen taking the moral high ground. Trump supporters weren't just upset about what De Niro said. They were upset by the way he said it. His comments were too blunt, too harsh, and in their eyes, not respectful of the political process. To make matters even more contentious, Karoline Leavitt's team didn't stay quiet for long. Within hours of De Niro's statement, they released a strong response, calling his words divisive and accusing him of being out of touch with the current political landscape. They argued that De Niro's remarks did nothing but widen the gap between generations and political ideologies, making it harder for people to have a productive conversation. The response from Leavitt's team was carefully crafted. It was clear they intended to defend her honor and portrayed De Niro's comments as not just an attack on her, but an attack on the future of politics. And that's what made this moment so significant. It wasn't just a small incident between a celebrity and a political figure. The internet's explosion of opinions revealed something much bigger. It showed just how divided the country has become. One comment from a Hollywood legend turned into a full-on national debate about generational politics, about the role of young people in the political system, and about the battle for the future of the nation. Suddenly, news outlets were picking up the story, discussing the implications of De Niro's words. Podcasts, YouTubers, and influencers from both sides of the aisle were jumping in, giving their takes on the feud. Some argued that this was just the beginning of a larger divide between the older and younger generations in American politics. Others pointed out that the way De Niro's comments had been received reflected just how polarized the country had become. People weren't just talking about what De Niro had said, they were debating what it meant for the future. Was this the beginning of a new political war, one where generations are at odds, each trying to assert control over the nation's future? Or was it just another fleeting moment in the endless cycle of political drama? Either way, one thing was clear. The conversation sparked by Robert De Niro's words wasn't going away anytime soon. What this means for Trump, Leavitt, and America. As the dust begins to settle from Robert De Niro's bold comments, it's important to take a step back and think about what all this really means, not just for the individuals involved, but for the broader political landscape in America. De Niro's words weren't just an isolated incident or a fleeting moment of controversy. They've ignited a conversation that could have lasting consequences for everyone involved. For Donald Trump, this situation could have both positive and negative implications. On one hand, De Niro's outspoken criticism of the former president and his political allies is like fuel to the fire for Trump's most loyal supporters. Many of Trump's base have long distrusted Hollywood elites, viewing them as out of touch with the struggles of ordinary Americans. For them, De Niro's words will only confirm what they already believed, that the media and entertainment industry are stacked against them and their values. They'll rally behind the idea of fighting back against the so-called Hollywood elite, using De Niro's comments as a rallying cry to support Trump even more vigorously. In fact, this could serve to further solidify his position among his core followers, as they often see the entertainment world as hostile to their beliefs. So in this regard, De Niro's remarks might play right into Trump's hands, providing him with even more ammunition to rally his supporters for the upcoming election. However, there's also a downside. De Niro's words have now cast a spotlight on Karoline Leavitt, a young and rising star within Trump's orbit. While attention can be a double-edged sword, for Leavitt, this could be her make-or-break moment. Suddenly, she's not just another young political figure with promise, she's now directly linked to a high-profile feud with a legendary actor. The media will be watching her every move, analyzing every statement she makes, and judging her actions through the lens of De Niro's comments. If she stumbles or says something controversial, it could fuel further criticism, not just from De Niro's camp, but from the larger public. At the same time, if she handles this moment with grace and intelligence, it could elevate her profile and show that she's more than just a puppet in Trump's political machine. Either way, the pressure will be immense. This incident could either launch her to new heights or, if mishandled, could tarnish her reputation. But perhaps the most significant takeaway from this entire situation isn't about Trump or Leavitt. It's about America as a whole. De Niro's comments have highlighted a deeper issue, the extreme polarization that has taken over the country. We're living in a time where a single comment can ignite a firestorm and where an individual's name can start an entire war of words. It speaks to the larger issues of division and the difficulties of having civil discourse in the current political climate. De Niro didn't just criticize Trump or Leavitt, he issued a warning to the American people. He asked them to think harder, to listen more carefully, and to resist being taken in by flashy new political faces or loud voices with carefully crafted messages. His call for reflection was a plea for people to dig deeper and consider the bigger picture, to not just accept things at face value. This moment serves as a reminder of how easily the public can be swayed by sound bites, social media posts, and sensational headlines. In the rush to be heard, it's easy to forget the importance of genuine thought and careful consideration. As De Niro pointed out, it's not enough to just look at the surface, we must question what lies beneath. Whether it's the political ideologies of figures like Trump and Leavitt, or the larger forces shaping our country's future. In the end, the storm that De Niro created with his comments isn't just about one actor calling out one politician. It's about the way that politics in America has become a battleground where every word is scrutinized, every action is dissected, and the truth is harder to find than ever before. De Niro's challenge to the American public to think harder, listen more, and resist the allure of political theater is something we can all take to heart. In a time when truth seems more elusive than ever, perhaps it's time we all take a step back and consider how we can bridge the divide in a more thoughtful, honest way. Robert De Niro didn't whisper. He didn't sugarcoat. He spoke from the heart, and whether you agree or not, his message was loud and clear. This wasn't just about Donald Trump or Karoline Leavitt. This was about the direction America is heading. He reminded us that politics isn't just about who speaks the loudest, it's about who tells the truth. And sometimes the truth doesn't wear a suit. Sometimes it comes from a tired actor who's seen too much, felt too much, and finally says, enough. Maybe De Niro crossed a line, maybe he didn't. But he said what many were thinking. He reminded us that we shouldn't fall for smiles and slogans. Behind every message there's a motive, and it's our job for all of us to look deeper. Karoline Leavitt might be young, smart, and rising fast. But with that power comes responsibility. Now that the spotlight is on her, what she says next will matter even more. The battle continues for Trump. His influence is still strong, but moments like these show us that voices like De Niro's still matter, maybe more than ever. So, what do you think? Was De Niro right to speak out, or did he go too far? Let us know in the comments because your voice matters too. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the moments that shake the world. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and never stop asking questions. Stop asking questions. Stop asking questions.